Watching Patriots film, is that just because of the similarities there? What do you like about what they do that you can maybe implement into your game?
The obvious thing is that the tight end usage, and then just how they use all the receivers. But certainly, there was a period there where they had two tight ends that were extremely dynamic, and we think we have a good tight end combo, and we think we have a couple good players behind both those guys too. So, if there's some things maybe we can beg, borrow, and steal from their system, and you can't compare Brady to anybody, at least nobody I know of, but there's those guys have been really good offensively. So it's like you try to steal things, get some ideas, and hopefully there's some things maybe that will help us fit in with what we do.
Speaking of tight end play, do you feel like you guys caught lightning in a bottle against Ohio State last year? As you look back on that game, what just came full bore?
Every now and then you're in games that go like that, and I've been in games on the other end of that too. In fact, the next week we had one just go the opposite direction, and it's a great feeling when it starts going your way, and it's not such a great feeling when it's coming downhill at you. But I don't know if you can explain it other than I think our team was ready to play. They did a good job during the course of the week, showed up with the right mindset. And probably caught Ohio State when they weren't at their best, and that's it's a bad combination if one team's really clicking and the other one isn't. So it just happened, and I wish I could tell you if I was that smart, we'd probably have a better record overall. So it's just one of those things that happen sometimes.
Kirk, I've always said that nobody covers the tight end consistently at any level of football. And that night was an example of that, against Ohio State. Why is it that it's so difficult to consistently, like you said, you visit with the Patriots about this. Why is it so difficult to consistently kind of incorporate the tight end?
It's just a tough matchup if you have a good tight end or good tight ends.
Right.
And I can remember being an offensive coach in Cleveland, and our head coach, if we played good tight ends, that always kind of concerned him. That got my attention. During the 80s, we had good tight ends at Iowa, so it's kind of always been part of our repertoire, if you will. But it presents some challenges because tight end's a position that's very unique, just like the linebackers or safeties that have to cover them. And if you get a guy like Noah Fant, who's a tight end, but he's also got almost receiver type skills, it poses some problems and forces you to make some decisions defensively, how you want to defend the guy. And obviously we can expect him to get a little bit more attention next year. Not that he wasn't getting it last year. So hopefully that'll open up some things for some other guys on the field.
I don't cover you all the time, so I've never been asked you. These guys may have asked you this 100 times, but when you watch that one video about the Browns, the Belichick, you're in the same room with Nick Saban and all this kind of. What did you get most from that whole association, that potpourri, whatever you want to call it?
Two points there. I mean, I've throughout my entire life, I've really been fortunate to work with great head coaches. Every stop I've had, the guys that were head coaches were unbelievably good, and you just learn a lot. But the untold story really are the assistants that I got to work with as well, and that was true when I was at Iowa in the 80s. It certainly was true in Cleveland and Baltimore. You've just been around some really good people. And as coaches, we all learn, from not just the head coach, but we learn from everybody around us. We went through the most bizarre thing you could ever dream of professionally when the operation shut down there. It was 6 weeks that were the most surreal 6 weeks of my life. But the moral of the story is we all survived. We're all doing okay, X amount of years later. So that's one thing you learn is that no matter what happens, and bad things happen in sports all the time, not nearly as bad as some things that could happen in life. You're going to get through it. You'll live through it. Just keep pushing and working hard. And then, we're all a bunch of guys. We're just guys coaching football. It wasn't like any of us were anybody special. And it was true at Iowa in the 80s. It was true in Cleveland, true in Baltimore. So, that's the fun of what we do. It's just a bunch of guys working at something we like doing, trying to be decent at it.
You can say this now, Did you see greatness coming in Saban?
Nick's always been a good coach. At least the Nick Saban I knew. And, I was on the other side of the sidelines with him during the 80s in the conference. Worked in the same room as him for 2 years. And not at all surprised that he was done this well.
What set him apart even then, in your opinion?
Yeah, he's got a unique personality, as you know, and but Nick's that's who he is. That's Nick all the way. But like any coach, he's a detailed, organized, focused individual, and had an ability to draw the best out of the players he worked with. He did that. Certainly did in Cleveland, and he's done it pretty much everywhere he's been since that time.